Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me. This week's video, I actually let my husband choose from the shower curtain which one I would be doing, and he chose 1989 Killer Crocodile. I had never seen this movie before, so I was pretty excited to do it, and I was able to watch this movie on Roku. You can watch it for free with ads, which that doesn't bother me. Growing up, we watched our movies with commercials, so it didn't bother me at all. Let me show you where it is on our shower curtain. There we go, right here, Killer Crocodile, the movie we're talking about today. Killer Crocodile was written by Dardano Sarcetti. He's also the one who wrote the movie House by the Cemetery, the one that we did a couple movies ago. So I couldn't help it, knowing that the same writer did both those movies. I was kind of looking for comparisons. And it's like when you read a book by an author, you read several books, you start to see similarities in their writing. Well, it was the same thing with this. This movie was filmed in Italy using an Italian cast, which means voiceovers. It wasn't as bad as in House by the Cemetery. You didn't really even notice. I think they got some good actors to do the voiceovers, so it wasn't a problem. Killer Crocodile is about a group of environmentalists who go out into the swamps and they try to prove that toxic waste has been illegally dumped into these swamps. Finding this information, they go to the local authorities and come to find out they're not going to be very helpful. During all of this, they discover that there's this giant killer crocodile that also lives in these swamps. The opening scene of this movie, within 10 seconds, you see the crocodile, which is awesome, and the crocodile looks phenomenal. I think they did a fantastic job. So seeing this opening scene, I was excited for the whole movie just based on the monster this movie is about. So we open with a young couple, Lauren and Steve. They pull up next to a bank, and after a little bit of romantic guitar play, Lauren decides she wants to go swimming. So you can imagine what happens. And I have to say, with this scene, immediately I had major Jaws vibes, right down to the music and the way the woman was pulled in the water. It just, immediately I thought, this is Jaws. We then cut to a scene where we meet our environmentalists. There's Jennifer, Pamela, Mark, Bob, who are the other ones? Kevin, and Conchita, who happens to be a native, and her dog Candy. So in this scene, they're going down the swamp in a boat and they're testing the water for pollutants, which they find. It's determined that these were dropped off, these pollutants, it was in barrels, toxic waste barrels, and it was determined that these came from a waste management plant. So because this island doesn't have a waste management plant, it was determined that these were transported in and then illegally dumped. The crew find barrels in the swamp, and so Bob swims over to them, and with a Geiger reader, I think that's how you pronounce it, he determines that these barrels are indeed radioactive. So later on that day, they decide to camp out by the bank, and Conchita's dog Candy goes wandering off toward the water. So Conchita goes to check on her dog, find her dog, and, well, the next morning, the crew try to find Conchita, and failing this, they decide to go into town to try to find a police station. So then they're told by the local town folk that there is no police station, just a man named Judge. They find Judge, and they're talking to him, and he said that he has no manpower to try to find their friend. They have a single boat and one man manning it, so there's nothing he can do. And then Pamela, for reasons unknown to me, comes to the conclusion that Judge is being paid off by the people who are dumping this toxic waste. Judge takes offense to it, threatens to have them all arrested, but out of the goodness of his heart, he just kicks them out of his office. We then see Judge talking to a man by the name of Foley. He's telling Foley that the kids are on to him. They need to stop dumping for a while. I guess Pam was right. Way to go, Pam. I don't know how she figured it out, but good job. So Foley takes offense to this and says no, they are not going to stop dumping, and if he continues to try to stop him, he will expose him for being a part of it. The crew are now back on the boat, and the boat hits some branches and stalls, because apparently that's how boats stall. The crew jumps out and is going to push the boat. I guess that's how you're going to get it started. And Pam, trying to find a branch to use as leverage, moves a branch, and out pops Conchita, dead in the water right in front of Pam. Back on dry land, we meet Joe. Joe came because he heard about the death of Conchita, so he went to the lab where they were doing Conchita's autopsy. The whole crew is there, and Foley and Judge are there as well. Now, Judge suggests that this could have been murder, kind of hinting toward the friends being the ones doing it. Then Joe says, nope, there's no way this could have happened. It was a giant crocodile, at least 20 feet.
Still calling it murder?
Get out of here. I don't want to see your ugly faces. Beat it.
This place stinks.
Come to find out, Joe has lived in the swamp for over 30 years, and he knows it better than anybody. So we now cut to the scene where we're on a bank's edge, and there are some locals and kids just enjoying the day down by the water. The gang invite Joe out for a beer, and as they're talking, you can see the crocodile slowly swimming up toward the shore where you see a bunch of kids.
Into the water, and then she went deeper until her underwater, and then the senora in. I've had enough of this. I'm going home. Right? Hey, you want to play with me? Ow!
Now, all hell breaks loose, and seriously though, does this music not scream Jaws? A couple of people lose their lives during this time, and Joe and the gang come to the rescue of a little girl. So after this event happens, the gang confront Judge and Joe, asking if they plan on killing this crocodile. When confirmed, the gang become all upset and insist that the crocodile doesn't deserve to die. So the gang later confront Joe again, begging him not to destroy this crocodile, that it's rare and unique and ought to be protected. Joe confides in them, saying he feels the croc is out to get him, so he's going to get it first.
I mind my own business. I have a feeling that overgrown croc's out to get my bacon, and so that's why I'm going to get it first.
The gang decides to follow Joe with the idea that if he finds the crocodile, they can stop him from destroying it. So while on the boat, they're discussing how this crocodile came to be. One of the ideas that they threw around that maybe it was a product of the toxic waste that was being dumped in its home, and another was that perhaps it was a marine crocodile that came from the Indian Ocean and somehow traveled this far. The engine of their boat dies and the gang is stranded. We then see Joe going to his home, and he finds a giant hole in the side of his house, and he finds a huge tooth that's embedded in the wall of his house. He then goes upstairs where he changes his vest, and on his chest you can see a bunch of scars. I can only assume maybe it was from a crocodile. I don't know. The crew is once again camped on the bank of the water. They somehow got their boat off to the side, and while sleeping, Pam wakes up and she spots the crocodile in the water headed their way. She alerts the rest of the crew, and Mark, the photographer of the group, states that it is his job to take pictures of this crocodile, and he jumps into the boat stating that the crocodile can't get to him in there. So Kevin and Bob, they jump into the boat trying to pull Mark out of it, and the crocodile gets a hold of the anchor line and then pulls this broken down boat out into the water. The crocodile puts a hole in the boat, and, well, we lose Bob. Then we almost lose Kevin. Stupid Mark. So the rest of the crew survives the night and are rescued the next day by Joe. Joe takes them to his house, and they meet his pet snake, Pilar. Joe tells Judge that they need to call for backup, that this crocodile is huge and they need help destroying it. So Judge and Foley then decide that they themselves need to take care of this crocodile because they don't need other people coming in to find out what they've been doing. Foley also lets Judge know that he has more waste to dump and this time it needs to be buried. So Judge agrees that they can go ahead and do it this one last time, but then he's done. He's out of doing this. And if Foley continues trying, then Judge will rat him out and the people that he works with. The crew, now back at Joe's house, decide that, yeah, maybe they do need to kill the crocodile. Mark and Kevin take watch as the rest of the crew sleep. Foley and Judge are out on the water trying to find the barrels that had previously been dumped and found by the crew. And Foley rigs them with some dynamite, fully intending to blow them up. Judge, seeing this, asks him, or says, you can't do that. That can contaminate the swamp. There's people here that depend on this water for fishing, bathing, what have you. So he wanted to stop Foley. Foley knocked him off into the water and, well... So then the crocodile comes jumping out of nowhere, scaring Foley off the boat into the water and, well... After Foley falls from his boat, the boat keeps going and rams into the bank, and all the dynamite that's still on board explodes. So Joe and the gang see it from their position, see all this smoke and hear the explosion, and decide that they're going to go investigate. Now, Mark stays at Joe's house with Pam and Jen, while Kevin goes with Joe to go find out what's going on. They come across the bodies of Judge and Foley, so they know they're on the right track. And then Joe decides to shout insults at the crocodile because...
Come on. Let me see you. Show me your stinking hide. Stick your nose out of the mud. I'll make a purse out of your rotten carcass. You don't scare me, you bastard. I'm right here, you overgrown pollywog.
Pollywog?
Crocodiles are very sensitive. They get really mad when you insult them. Go real crazy.
Joe once again states that he's the one the crocodile is after. Joe makes himself into bait.
What are you doing, nuts? Shut up, kid. The sucker wants me. So let's give him a taste of what he wants.
Joe makes himself into bait, and the crocodile shows up because of the Joe bait, and then this happens.
Joe! Joe!
Kevin goes back to the crew and tells them about Joe's death. So Kevin and Mark decide that they're going to be the ones to destroy the crocodile. While out on the boat looking for him, they spot the crocodile's eggs, and they make mention of how huge they are. So Kevin decides that he's going to destroy them, even though Mark was a little bit hesitant.
What's that over there? Jesus, they're eggs. They're enormous. They must be its eggs. Kevin, do we have to? Yes.
The crocodile immediately goes into attack after its eggs are destroyed. But with a lucky flying hat, we see that Joe is not dead. He's alive.
This'll bring you luck, kid. Now let me see if you've got the guts to finish the job we started together.
Joe tells Kevin that he has to fight it with a propeller. The only way to destroy it is to fight it face to face. And what comes next is a very pleasing, gory, entertaining scene. They did such a great job with the death of this crocodile. It was one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Kevin attempts to give Joe back his hat, but Joe insists that Kevin keep it because it brought him luck. So now Joe, Kevin, and Mark are in the boat headed back with the knowledge that the crocodile and the eggs have been destroyed. Now, as mentioned earlier, we know this movie was written by Sarchetti, and just like in House by the Cemetery, we are left with some questions, which is fine. Not all horror movies are going to explain everything, and sometimes when they do, it takes away from the story. So it's forgivable, but it's worth mentioning. So the first one is in the first scene with Lauren and Steve. What happened to Steve? He went swimming after her when she was attacked by the crocodile, and you don't see him again. You don't hear about him again. Did he survive? Did he die? I don't know. Then, how did Pam figure out that Judge was being paid off for these illegal dumps? It never explains it. She just kind of out of nowhere decided, oh, this is what's going on. Never explained. Was the croc the product of the toxic waste, or was he a marine crocodile brought in or swam in from the Indian Ocean? Why does Joe think the crocodile is after him? And what are the scars that you see on Joe's chest? Was he attacked by a different crocodile before? Was he attacked by this crocodile? What gives? Crocodile was created by Gianetto De Rossi. And like I said previously, he did a fantastic job. Some creatures, when you see them up close or when you see it with a lot of lighting, they just look cheesy, which I love that too. Don't get me wrong, but this one, it had a cheesy, realistic feel to it. It just looked amazing, and I'm really going to be paying attention to the other movies that I watched to see special effects and see if I get the same feel between what he did here and what he did in other movies. The special effects of this movie really is what carried it, and because of that, I give this movie 2.5 coffins. It was enjoyable to watch one time through. It was a one and done for me. I did enjoy it, but I won't see myself going back for a rewatch. I will, however, watch the second one. Yes, there's 2 of them, but that's going to be later on down the line. I in no way hated this movie, but there are so many other movies out there that I genuinely enjoy watching, so that's why this one gets the lowest rating so far. Now, I have already chosen the movie I'm going to do for next week, but as always, if you see a movie that you do want me to do, so long as it's on my shower curtain, then I'll happily do it. I think that kind of adds to the fun of it, having somebody else pick which I'll be doing next. So thank you all who are watching this video and supporting this channel. I am having a blast making these videos, and I hope to improve as I continue. See you next week. Or